We'll see. We'll see whether he needs anybody. We'll see. And we'll see whether you're saying the same thing, 6 games from now.
I love the mentality of it, though.
Yeah, well, right until you're Damian Lillard and you're ripping him and saying he should be traded.
Yeah, but Giannis has he's got a championship in his back pocket.
That's right.
You count it?
Giannis's?
Yeah.
I counted his 2. I mean,
really?
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, the guy stay put in Milwaukee. He did it with Chris Middleton. He's not trying to recruit superstars. I mean, now he's doing it with Grayson Bleepin Allen. Yeah. Yep, that guy's good. That's how you do it. That's how you roll.
You don't think last year was so affected by COVID?
Just stop, though. Grayson Allen, you're doing it. Chicago couldn't beat anybody good all season.
I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just asking you if you'd like to.
And it's an important conversation. I'm glad we're having it. Yeah.
Somebody is writing in via at LeBatard Show. Billy Corbin would do a documentary on the injustice by the local McDonald's if they failed to fill his soda all the way to the top.
It's true.
You don't get the show.
Are Billy Corbin and David Sampson like a touring duo now? Because they're everywhere together.
They've done a lot of media recently. They really enjoyed doing a lot of media recently. It was weird to see the two of them go on a tour as a comedy act just all over the local news because people realized, hey, they're pretty good together. And they're also both insane.
As far as Sunday morning local debate shows go, they are thrilling guests. If you compare to their usual lineup of a Sunday morning local affairs talk show, wow, do they make for better content?
Yes, of course. It's not dry. It's not.
Also, they need to stop.
It's not Michael Putney.
The disdain for journalism, as soon as it's something you disagree with, is really astounding on the show.
Why is Putney catching strays? What did he ever do around here? It's a pillar of this community, Michael Putney.
I'm just saying that Michael Putney isn't fireworks, is all I meant.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Come on.
Jess, the same could be said about Billy's endeavors. As soon as he sees someone that he doesn't like behind it, this is all because he doesn't like Francis. And this is Francis's project. So he's just going at Francis. It is weird how he is unrelenting with it.
Oh, no, but he also doesn't like public financing. Like, you can...
It's not publicly financed, so if that were the case, you should take up another cause.
No, but you understand what I'm saying. Forgive me, I misspoke, just filed everything under public financing. He's also against Miami Miami helping these billionaires, just as a theoretical principle, Miami doing anything to help billionaires be more billionaires.
I said Billy's going to get Miami a better deal because of all the attention this has brought. But also corrupt commissioners will also get Miami a better deal. And that's why Inter Miami haven't had this stadium yet. There was a pandemic, and there were slip and falls at commissioner meetings. If I'm Jorge Mas, I'm so frustrated with Billy Corbin because the reason why he's in this spot, largely, bigger than any other reason, is that Miami's local government is so slow-moving that it played itself into a position where yesterday's price is no longer today's price. Because if this got done in 2018, like the people wanted it done, because they voted on Inter Miami having the ability to negotiate a deal. If it was negotiated under 2018 prices and sealed, stamped through all the way out, Billy Corbin wouldn't be popping off at the mouth. His big problem, which is I think just, is that you and I are paying more rent now than we were in 2018. Yesterday's price is not today's price.
And it's fair. Why shouldn't he be advocating for that?
Well, no, it's not necessarily fair, but there's nothing fair in politics. Because if I'm Jorge Mas, I'm at my wit's end.
Why do you say it's not fair? Until you have a signed deal that's done and voted for and consumed, you don't have a signed deal. And if the terms of that change because you have bought commissioners, and this is a real estate deal that is also going to be something that happens to have soccer in it, but you're buying a guy who didn't have enough money for the Marlins, a man who could not buy the Marlins, you're now building his ability to be the next Jeffrey Loria because he will be able to put much cheaper real estate, cheap real estate that you cannot get in this city anymore.
It's totally different because it's not publicly financed. We're all just wondering aloud. This is a problem with this. It's because Inter Miami is saying the exact opposite of what Billy Corbin is saying. I don't know what the actual price is until the deal gets done because Inter Miami is saying they're paying above market value. So I literally have no idea. I know I want a soccer stadium,
but Billy Corbin
and I know I don't want to publicly finance.
Billy Corbin should be screaming at a megaphone if it moves the dollar price up $1 for the city.
I think he's.
It costs him nothing to do that, and of course,
it does. A little respect. A little respect, Billy. And I see what you're doing with Mr. John Ruiz, and I do not like it one bit. And now he's going at you. And I believe he threatened litigation. So you better mind your P's and Q's, Billy
Well,
Corbin.
let's get to this, Stugotz. As we open the show, Mike, for some reason, is telling Billy Corbin to mind his P's and Q's. And just moments ago, for some reason,
An important lesson, Dan.
Here's Billy Corbin will tear down the University of Miami if a vendetta gets in the way. Because you're seeing it right now. He's about to tear down soccer just because he hates Francis Suarez. Hell hath no fury like a Billy Corbin scorn.
Can I get to the story and explain it to the audience, what's happening with the University of Miami? For those who are not as familiar, you're rabid today. You're up 3-1.
He's excited.
You're again bared teeth all over the place. I need to get to Billy and his 3,000th hit.
What do you think happened, by the way, to Jimmy McMillan? Do you remember him? The rent is too damn high guy? This seems like his moment.
Wow.
Like,
Yes. Yep.
And I feel like I shouldn't ask that question because every single time I ask a question, someone has been dead around
Dangerous
the question.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, but where is that guy?
We should check in with him and find out what's going on in his life again. I'll get to your 3,000th hit in a second, but I did want to wonder why Mike Ryan in a weird way, decided to say they just keep on rolling and then added a baby at the end. And I feel like you had your remorse as soon as the baby came out of your mouth.
I'm watching Limp Bizkit this weekend. Really? That's what happened there.
Mm-hmm.
Hard rock.
They just keep on rolling baby.
That's what happens after Limp Bizkit, Dan. Everyone
Well,
knows.
in advance of Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
Jamal Crawford is going to join us here in moments. Buckets Crawford. Mike Ryan, you were objecting to buckets earlier. Are you okay with one of the great buckets of all time deciding for us who is the most of the buckets?
I'm not objecting to buckets. I love buckets. I love bucket getters. It's kind of like a 90s pitcher that's an innings eater. I'll always gravitate towards a bucket. J.R. Smith, bucket. I like talking buckets, but I do think it takes on this weird form where it convinces people that Carmelo Anthony is somehow a better two-way player than so-and-so just because he's a bucket. No, it's not the case. Kawhi Leonard, vastly better than Carmelo. Carmelo couldn't shine Kawhi's shoes. He couldn't hold his gym bag. All right? But because Carmelo's a bucket, he sells the jerseys, and no one gives Kawhi his flowers. That's my problem with it.
Okay, and you are outraged from every angle today. You're spitting poison and acid in every direction. But the story you were talking about involving the University of Miami is not just Ruiz going back and forth with Billy Corbin, but, Stugotz, as the economy around sports starts changing, and John Ruiz and LifeWallet are now giving $400,000 a year plus a car to get K-State guard Nigel Pack to transfer.
No. Fallacy.
Not to transfer.
Once Nigel decided to transfer,
Okay.
then we're like, oh, wow, this is great.
Yes.
Here's an
And
NIL
right.
deal.
That's how that
Exactly
happened.
right. Yes.
Come on.
That is how that happened.
That's how that happened.
You got to put yourself in the portal first, Dan. Right.
You have to commit to
Let
us.
them know you're aware.
Commit to us. Here. And then almost instantly, a deal will be there for you.
Yeah.
And
No, you
What a
didn't.
coincidence.
It's amazing.
And you've got, Stugotz, Ian Schofel saying, with the money he's investing, it probably won't be long before Ruiz is hiring and firing coaches and ADs. The basketball program just got, Stugotz, a public, Ruiz is saying, he's giving you the numbers. He's saying $400,000 a year plus a car.
Right.
He's saying LifeWallet just bought a player from K-State who's a very good player, a player you want on your team.
That's college sports these days. Like, we've been waiting for this forever. It's a bit, it feels like the wild, wild west. I'm certain it will get more normal and probably, be overseen as time goes on. But for now, I love it. That's fantastic. Why not? $400K in a car to get a kid to come over from Kansas State to Miami? What a deal.
He came over before and then he got the car.
Right.
I don't
I'm sorry,
think I
Mike.
don't think it is going to get regulated. Like I
You
read
know?
this article by Pat Forty where he talked to Jack Swarbrick, the athletic director at Notre Dame, who's since Notre Dame's independent, Jack Swarbrick is in all the meetings with the other college football playoff people. So he has a little bit of connection to all of the different conferences and all the different teams. So I think his perspective is interesting. But he thinks that there's really no evidence that the NCAA will be able to fix it, even if they have the power to. There might be some sort of conference regulation, but if it behooves the conferences to attract the players to the conferences to then make more money and sell their rights for more. They're not going to do it either.
And someone else is funding
And-
their whole thing. It's how you keep your model. It's actually the NCAA is disincentivized to legislate much of this. Just let everyone keep paying for stuff. You lose your relevance, but you allow
I disagree. I mean, the NCAA should have done this 10 years ago because now they're going to completely lose college football. And Swarbrick's point was that he thinks by the time a lot of these TV contracts run out in the 2030s, most college football teams are going to operate separate from the universities, and they're not going to be. There's going to be like the example that Forty gave was like Oregon Ducks Inc. They're going to run the football team separate from the athletic department, from academics entirely. They're going to have their own company because the way that this is spun out of control so quickly, it's the only outcome that really makes any sense for anybody.
But what are you disagreeing with? The future, which is the minor league system, will be free. The minor league system will be commerce. The minor league system for football that football doesn't have to pay for and can be funded by others. It'll kill the power of the NCAA. But what it will do is what Stan Van Gundy has been advocating forever. Stop with the student bullshit. Just make it the business it is. Stop hiding it and camouflaging it in the rah-rah of amateurism and Saturdays. Just, hey, it's minor league football. And I'll tell you something else, by the way. If you want to get and make this more and more professional, you might not like USFL football, but those broadcasts are inventive. They are teaching you football. They are in huddles, and you're listening to the play calls, and Brock Heward is talking to players on the sidelines about what they're calling in the huddle. You might not care about the players at all. You probably don't care about the players, but they're in the meetings, and they're trying to do Drive to Survive. I don't know whether they'll be able to do it, but they're in the meeting, and they're trying to create something around the football that has more access, and that will never make it the way college football will always make it, like no matter what form it or shape it takes.
I only disagree with Stugotz, and I think Stugotz, you're not alone in thinking like these things will kind of sort themselves out because there will be a market correction. I disagree with that. I think there's an incredibly anti-regulatory perspective that has been pervasive in college sports for a while. Like government doesn't really want to get involved in this, and so I don't think it's going to just sort itself out. Pandora's box has been opened.
If it doesn't, I'm fine with that, by the way. Like, I'm good with it.
Yeah,
like,
I think
the
some
players are
people
getting
are.
paid and incentivized to come to certain schools.
Stugotz, the whole construct is going to change. You can be good with it and still be listening to what's being said here and say correctly, oh, shit. $400,000 in a car is now the going rate on an annual salary for a person you're going to pretend is a student, but is now a paid professional with the Stugotz. That's great income. Like that's not.
Of course it is.
But
That's
not,
more
that,
than
that,
the majority of Miami Dolphins.
That's not name and likeness. That is a salaried job in the high end of people making money.
Right.
You just bought a player. That number was.
What's wrong with that, though?
No, I'm not saying there's
He's making more than most of the Miami Dolphins.
Stugotz, I'm not
Pretty
saying
wild.
there's anything wrong with it.
He might mean more to his college than the Dolphins mean to the Dolphins. You know what I'm saying?
Look, this is I don't know about
Certain
that.
Dolphins.
It's getting a little out of control where there are certain schools that have a flat rate for 5-star recruits that are 7 figures. I'm not going to name it by name, but I was kind of getting a chuckle out of, well, the ship's left the port and there's no fixing this and it's just going to go, watch. Yes, wait. Watch. They'll come for Miami. They'll come for us. Not my first rodeo. They'll try. They have no power and they will try to enforce what little power they have on Miami because we're so public about it. They can't let us have it.
Always comes back to the Miami persecution complex.
Jess, I'm telling you, it'll be a couple of months and we're going to
It's
have this
earned.
conversation. It'll happen.
It's earned.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. But
There is both a persecution complex and lots of persecution.
But what can they do, Mike? They're not doing anything illegal.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. If they come for Miami, I'm going to start singing like a canary.
Ah!
Yeah. No, I'll be a rat.
Let's do that
because
now.
I know what everybody else is doing.
Let's get out ahead.
So
Let's get out
mutually
ahead.
assured
Like
destruction.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
You
throw them
come
off
for
the
us,
scent.
I'm coming for everybody
Sing,
else.
baby. Let's sing.
That's what's different now.
Here we go.
I got all your dirty laundry.
Just drop one or two things.
5, 6.
Yeah,
7,
say one or two things. Don't make this like one of those things that after the fact you're like, I knew. Just
No, but
drop
you have
one or
to
two
trust
things
me.
now. Yeah.
Trust me. If I see one little blip, if Emmer decides
it.
to say
Mike,
anything on
do
letterhead,
it. Do it.
I am coming to burn the whole thing.
This-
down.
this
Do
is-
it. Do it right now.
You are an unhinged lunatic. The playoffs have made you crazy. But please respect Billy's request.
Yeah, just do
we
one little
would
thing.
like a morsel.
Just
It
say
can,
a
it
little.
can
Come
be
on.
concealed,
A little,
but it
right.
has to be sung like a canary.
All of a sudden, College Station's Palm Springs. I mean, what are we doing?
No, you have to sing it
What
like
are we doing?
No.
Like a
What are we
canary.
doing?
Come
Like
on,
a
canary.
canary.
You want me
have
to sing it?
yeah.
All of a sudden, College Station is like Palm Springs. Get the fuck out of here.
Well done.
Yes, so that is you are going to burn it all down because Miami is being louder and more cartoonish about this. Nobody's as
We are.
brazen. Stugotz, nobody's as brazen as okay. Just got the kid from K-State that cost Life Wallet $400K and a car.
It's too much. He shouldn't be doing that. He shouldn't be. Look, he should be doing that, but not. Like, we should wait a couple of days.
No, but he wants to be the
And
guy.
we shouldn't be. He does want to be the guy, and I don't think he certainly doesn't have the power that reporter. I'm sorry, I forget the name is alleging. The
Ian
power.
Schofel.
He doesn't have that power. Flatly, like he's not. He's influential. He's a golden cane. He's doing a lot of great things for the program right now. And if it's all on the up and up,
He's fixing your program. Like,
no, see, that's what I don't like.
well, I mean,
I
that's,
don't like that. No, the program
That's what
was
he's
getting
giving
fixed.
off, Mike. That's what
he's
people are
giving
giving off.
That's what he's giving off, and
Right.
people know his names, and they don't know the boosters that are also doing stuff names. Like,
Right.
I don't like that.
But he's the front man, is he not?
He's helping.
Yeah.
He's helping. If this is legitimate, he's absolutely
But what's
helping.
going on with Corbin, though? Because Corbin has questioned what is Life Wallet, what is it, and this is the first real deal. He's throwing it out there because one of the reasons he's emboldened to go after Corbin is because this is the first time that something's real, something that has dollars on it. Well, wait, Life Wallet's not just a figment of his
Are you
imagination.
talking with Pac? No, but I mean, John Ruiz has been at this for months.
But he's threatening Billy Corbin with litigation because he calls him somebody who has hateful things to say about everybody because he too is objecting to the Jorge Mas things that Billy is doing to prevent the Melreese deal.
Yeah, because Jose Mas is a big Golden Cane, and so he was backing up his boy. Us in the Golden Cane Society, we all have each other's back, and we want to stop Billy Corbin from letting a vendetta carry over this. And it wasn't a threat of litigation; it was a veiled threat.
Wow.
It's different.
What's the difference?
We've totally lost Whitty because he's literally on YouTube watching a canary sing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it looks like he's in heaven over there.
Yeah.
Can we listen to it? Can we like pull that computer up or something? I want to hear what he's listening
Was
to.
Mike close? Like, was he close, Woody? No. He can't be
He
distracted.
can't hear any of this. He just said, "I'll be here for 3 minutes."
Yeah, he's looking elsewhere. He's looking. Whitty, who watches CBS Sunday Morning, and CBS Sunday Morning is doing, I know, Billy, you make fun of this, but they do a minute where it's just like, and here's nature's sounds.
Oh, it's
and,
the best.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Billy says no. Billy,
They had Liza Minnelli on yesterday.
it's an old program, and they'll do this. Here, just slow your life down for a minute. Slow your life down for a minute. Close your eyes. Breathe through your nose. Let all your thoughts go.
This is fake.
Sounds like Augusta.
I think that bird was talking about car dealerships in Tuscaloosa. I'm not exactly sure.
There's a waterfall behind this bird, but we don't hear any water. What's that about?
Whitty had a giant smile on his face because he is moved by the canary singing.
This canary's in I don't think that this is a happy canary. This canary's in a cage. I think this canary's help! Get me out of here!
We don't know.
Help! Help me! I'm being tortured.
Just off screen as a police interrogator making the canary sing.
The water's fake. It's just a green screen. OSU's cheating.
Dan, Stu, Bucket, take it away.
Well, why don't you start with him, Tony? Because you're as excited as I've ever seen anybody. Just because he's here, he came into the screen, and all you saw was shots raining down from the heavens, all of them going in.
Not only shots,
my
just
gosh.
moves. I mean, Jay Crossover is one of my. So I got a list right here, Jamal. I don't know if you see it. There's a lot of script.
Wow.
Here, but I proclaimed you as the #1 bucket getter in the NBA ever.
Wow.
You are a walking bucket. I got you with the likes of Lou Will. I got you with ISO Joe. I've got you with Mello, who's I think a little bit, Kevin Martin, Michael
Wait a minute.
Redd,
No, what
Gilbert
did you do
Arenas.
there? See, no. Wait a minute. What you just did there is where we need to stop, because what he just said with Melo is, because there is a level of player who's a bucket, but I think he just elevated Melo beyond the bucket. I think that's what you just did.
Well, Melo's the Hall of Famer. That's fair. I get it.
No insult taken?
No, that's Melo. No insult taken at all. I'm honored to be on the list, Tony.
Michael Redd, Gilbert Arenas, BD. Like, you are with the legends in the NBA right now.
I will play a game. If I need someone to make a contested mid-range jumper, you are my first draft pick.
Yep.
I appreciate that. Wow.
You got
And
it.
you know what? I always say the mid-range jumper is like a jab in boxing. Like, I feel like it's so needed. Obviously, everybody wants threes and layups now, but especially when games mean the most in the playoffs, they're not giving those fouls. We all see that. And taking off the dribble three is probably one of the worst shots if you're not Steph Curry, right? So
Or
that
Embiid.
mid-range, I've seen Michael Jordan, Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant, all dominating that area. So some of the best players and scorers ever.
Mr. Crawford, when the game gets tight in the postseason, sometimes that's the only shot available. And you want
That is.
no one else other than Mr. Crossover taking
No,
it.
no one else?
Well, wait.
No.
who-
Number one.
We gotta
I'll
get
take him
his
over
top five.
Durant.
Hold on. We got to get his top 5 bucket getters.
Well,
Certified bucket getters.
I think Jamal right now would probably choose, if he loves the mid-range game, you would choose DeRozan. You love DeRozan, don't you?
I love DeRozan's game. Absolutely. And you see, my thing is, and don't forget, I'm top 10 all time in threes. So I'm saying this as a 3-point guy as well. You know what I mean? But I love the mid-range because it gives balance. You don't become predictable. You can dribble 1-2, pull up, stop on a dime, and especially if you're efficient at it. And DeRozan is, among the best in the league, probably ever.
Is there anyone on that top 10 list in threes? Do you have the list memorized? Anyone above you that you're like, no, this guy's not the shooter that I was. He just got a few more. He got a few more opportunities.
No, you know what? I don't use it that way. When I go to gyms and I'm shooting threes and they leave me open, I said, there's only 7 people that's ever hit more in history. You're just going to leave me open like that? So I don't have it memorized, but I definitely use it when I'm talking stuff on the playground.
When people don't understand the precision of what it is that you do, can you explain in layman's terms, like a time in practice when you rain down a record number for you consecutive threes just because of the precision of what you do and the tending to the craft of what you do?
Well, one time when I actually tracked it, I think we shot 100 threes and I made 92. And that was probably I was a little bit shocked. I thought I would get somewhere in the 80s, but it was one of those days we just locked in. So I hit 92. I didn't hit 116 in a row like Steph did, but I hit 92 out of 100. I never told that story, Dan. Great question.
Well, thank you. But when you say Steph, because this is what I can't help but just be flabbergasted by all the time. I think I know what great shooters look like. The precision of your craft. You're someone, I see your face. I'm like, that guy knows how to score. He'll always know how to score. And yet you must look at Steph and be like, what the hell is that? Like, what is that?
Yeah, with him, it's art. It's pass shooting, because the thing that's unique about Steph is most guys that can shoot off the dribble can't really catch and shoot as well. They can't run around and shoot. And vice versa. If a guy can run around and shoot, like Reggie Miller, he could run around and shoot, but you didn't really see him shoot too many off the dribble pull up threes. Steph is a combination of both, and he has a nasty hander with that. And obviously everybody knows he wants to do it. He's still the best ever at it. And then he gives the flair for it. And the thing that makes it so connectable is that any kid around the country, around the world can say, I can work on that. I can do that. I don't have to be 6'7" to dominate a game. I can be 6'2", 6'3", and just work on my skills. And that's what Steph is really connected with the world.
But if I had shown you that, like if I had just come in at the beginning of your career, let's say it's your rookie year, and I showed you a tape of what Steph does now, and I said to you, is this a possible thing? Do you think human beings can do this? Your answer would have been no, wouldn't it have?
It absolutely would have been no. A funny story, a close friend of mine who was staying with me at the time was working with me when I was year 3. He was like, Jamal, take 15 threes a game. I said, do you understand if I get to the second 3, I'm going to be on the bench for, the rest of the game. That just wasn't the game. Shooting off the dribble 3 was considered the worst shot in basketball. And it's weird because 15 years later, now it's considered the biggest weapon, right? Like at that time you had dominant wing scorers, whether it be Kobe, McGrady, Iverson, give them the ball, or dominant post players, Duncan, Garnett, Shaq, give them the ball. Off the dribble 3 was the worst shot. So I never thought the game would go to a place where you could be able to do that and be encouraged to do it. And Steph took it to somewhere else.
Go back to that same time. If I showed you video of Karl Anthony Towns, who's 7'2", winning the 3-point contest, or Joel Embiid the play being called for him to shoot a 3 at 7'1", you would have told me what, Jamal?
You're crazy. Like Dirk was ahead of his time because he was the only guy at that size that was shooting like that. You know what I mean? Like Kevin Garnett was more 17 feet in. Shaq stayed closer to the basket. Duncan was 17 feet in. Rasheed Wallace would shoot like that. He would say that, but it wouldn't be quite as much. But to see where I would never say, "Oh, big guy's going to win a 3-point contest," and it just shows the evolution of the game. It shows how guys are training. And it shows the skill level that's evolved since that 2000 era.
I feel like you'd be honest about this, but when I think of guys that I associate with buckets, I don't associate a whole lot of periods of doubt. Someone who struggles with whether or not the next one's going in, even if they've missed the last 20. So did you do a lot of doubt in your career?
No, you know what? I spent so much time in the backyard counting down 3, 2, 1, and I would miss it at times, but that helped give me a confidence. My favorite player ever was Michael Jordan. So I always saw him come up in the biggest moments. He never wavered with his confidence, no matter if he was playing against the Bad Boy Pistons, if he's playing against the Lakers in '91, his confidence never wavered. And so for me, I try to adapt that. I remember my highest scoring game ever, I scored 52. I missed my first 4 shots. One of them was a dunk. And this is in the Garden. This is against the Heat after they won the championship in '06. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I caught 1, I caught 2. And the thing that's different about me is if I see 2 going in a row, I feel like, bring out the circus. Like, I feel like I'm on fire. It's a party. Everybody enjoy this show because that's the heightened confidence I've had from just the work ethic and the work I put into it.
How much recall like that do you have of individual games where I can go to you and you'll say, yeah, I had 52 and I missed my first 4 shots?
I'm pretty good at it. You may have to test me.
So pretty good at it. I could go through some of the years here, and you think that you can remember details of individual games that all of them stick like that. None of them become a blur with all the travel and everything else. You believe that you have the kind of recall. I'd have to go to the big games, right? I couldn't do that with
he's got 3 50-point games for 3 different teams. So, I mean.
Four. Don't worry about it.
I'm sorry. I am sorry about that. My bad. I feel terrible. No, I was going to sit with me all weekend.
He's testing me already.
Right.
He tested me already. That was on purpose.
Right,
he knew what he was doing.
Exactly, right. Just seeing if you're paying attention, Jamal. Right?
Exactly.
Well, from those games, I'm guessing some of the details are rich, but not just random games, right?
Pretty random, too. Not all those games.
I want to pull up a box score.
All right,
from
well,
just a
Tony
random
will
game.
do that in a second. I've got a lot of other questions because I feel like this guy will give up the stories, too. Did you have any legendary back and forth with someone like Kobe?
Yes. The first time I can really remember, it was the game where he was the youngest to ever score 20,000 points. We're in the Garden. It was a Sunday matinee game. You can pull it up. They were beating us by 25-30 in the first half. Or late second quarter, early third quarter. They were by about 25 or 30. I only have 2 points in the first half at that point, or maybe even 1. I get hot, and I get 30 in the second half. And I bring us all the way back. We end up losing by 3, but that was the first game Kobe actually said something to me on the court. And when I'm at my 20 to 25th point, he's like, oh, you're hot as a pistol, huh? Like, it's my turn to come guard you. And then I had a couple more points, a couple more assists. By the end of the game, he came to me. I'll even send you guys this video. He came to me and gave me 5 and touched me on the head. And I forgot what he said to me at that point, but that was the first time in 7 years, I've been in the league since 2000, where he actually acknowledged me on the court. And I was like, man, Kobe actually knows me. He respects me. That was the first time. It was the youngest when he scored 20,000 points. Yeah.
It's interesting that you would be moved by that as if he shouldn't know who you were, you know?
Well, Kobe was a machine, man. Like he absolutely, his competitive desire and competitive will was like you weren't even out there. It wasn't even about you anymore. It was like just him in the basket. That was the only relationship that mattered. It wasn't about who was guarding him. He didn't care if you missed 15 in a row. He didn't care what you did. It was all about him. So for him to actually acknowledge me and say something, I'm like, oh man, Kobe is a human. Like because he's such a machine with the Mamba mentality. He's the originator, right? So yeah, that our relationship took off after that for sure.
And where were you, and where was what was he in the league? Like, what was the age difference at this point? Like, how much had you played against him wordlessly?
This is 2007 Kobe. At that point, I'm in my 7th year, so he's probably in his 11th year. He's already Kobe, like everybody knows. Matter of fact, either he had just changed to 24 or he was still number 8, but one or the other. He was, I want to say he was 24. It may have been the first year 24. Lamar Odom's on that team, Derek Fisher. They ended up, going to the finals the next couple of years. So he was right there in the prime.
I'm just surprised for you to have that kind of reverence. You're so skilled, and you are such an assassin yourself that the idea that you would be flattered by him simply acknowledging you or knowing who you are.
I'll go even further with it, Dan. I was the kid who collected basketball cards. So I could tell you so much about almost every player who played. Like, I was a historian and still am a historian of the game. So I remember when I used to sneak in the Forum when I was living in LA. And I remember Michael Adams he had the double pump, a little funny double pump shot. And he was there 3.5 hours before the game. Over the loudspeakers, they're playing Mary J. Blige. So I go home and like, oh, okay, I'm going to listen to Mary J. Blige. This is what the pros were listening to. I got to do this if I want to be a pro. Not knowing they're just playing music over the loudspeakers. But I wanted it so bad. I've studied the game so much. So when somebody like any pro, but when Kobe Bryant, one of the best ever, acknowledges you, it hits home a little differently.
Who were some of the guys on the stories that you remember that are emotional for you, where you're like, you go from the collecting of the cards and the memorizing of the stats to the awe of, I can't believe I'm out here with this person?
Yeah, well, Doug Christie was the first one for me because he actually is from my hometown. And he was like, you know what, you're a 16-year-old kid. I think you can make it. So he started letting me train with him. And that's when it became real to me. I'm like, oh, okay, pros use this foam roll. He had this foam roll stick 20 years ago. Now everybody's on foam roll. He was working out with weight vests and ankle weights. I'm like, okay, this is what pros do. So if we were supposed to be at the gym at 7, I didn't even have Doug's number. I'd be there at 6:30 waiting for him. He's like, okay, this kid's different. He's trying to learn. Like, I don't want anything from you. Just teach me how to be a pro. So he was the first one. Then when I actually got to the pro, seeing Allen Iverson, like I had 35 pictures on my wall of him and seeing him playing against him, seeing his crossovers, legendary crossover. I was crossed over before I even saw the crossover because I was so used to like actually seeing it and watching it. So yeah, I would say he was the first one that blew me away on the court.
As a kid who collected these things, do you have any photos in your home of you doing something with a photograph of a player that you wouldn't have to say anything else? The player's name would be enough, but you've decided to put it up because it's a piece of art that gives you pride at who it is that you crossed over. Oh, he's going to go.
He's
got it right behind him.
Exciting, Dan. Right behind him.
Yes, right behind him.
I didn't necessarily cross him over, but I played against the GOAT.
I mean, man. With the Wizards. I mean, not exactly,
No.
but...
No. He's the GOAT.
He was on the Bulls.
He's the GOAT at any time.
That's so cool, man.
No, what Stugotz did to you was the right thing to do. It was an asshole move, but he's right. You didn't play against the GOAT. You played against the guy who was in a Wizards uniform who used to be the GOAT.
There will never be Michael Jordan disrespect tolerated at any point. At 40 years old, he was averaging 20-plus points. He's the GOAT.
Okay, fair enough.
Crawford was on the Bulls in that picture.
Yes. Crawford was on the Bulls in that picture.
What do you recall as your happiest game? If I force you to just have one where the feelings were most right, is it a game with the most points? Is it a game with a shot that's memorable, or just something that resembles most joy for you?
For me, and it comes out at me, it wasn't a scoring game. It was a passing game, actually. When I got my career high in assists in the Garden, and I had 14 assists, and it was weird. I only had 8 points as my last year in Phoenix, but it felt so intoxicating because I've dominated games with scoring for so long, and I knew I could be a passer. Like, I was a point guard in high school, but everybody sees me as a bucket. So it was another way to dominate a game, and it just felt intoxicating to actually dominate in that way because I hadn't shown that in the league, but I showed it in the summer every time I play, and people know me actually more for passing than scoring around Seattle.
How do you imagine your career is different if you are now in your prime right now and all the schooling had been different and you're just a guy, hey, off balance threes, we like those now.
Take more.
Like, how does all of this play out differently if they had actually realized, if somebody, a coach, somebody in the math department had figured out, put this guy on a team where he's going to shoot 20 a game and we'll take our chances?
I think I would compete for leading the league in scoring, to be honest with you. I think I would have a Hall of Fame career. I think it would be entertaining for a lot of people because part of my game is creative, right? A lot of it to me is just being creative. And now you're encouraged to be creative. You see LaMelo Ball, throwing a lob through his legs and, people are like, oh, that was really cool, but it's accepted. When I did it in the game with Blake Griffin, it was like, what? That was like a unicorn running by. Like, what was that? You know what I mean? So it's totally different.
It is. We got to play this with Blake Griffin. We got to keep doing these lobs and dunks and see if we can throw it over.
If we see where we can go with this might be the future. Let's just keep going. Let's see where we go.
But I just love how stupid it all is. The idea that we were playing the game all wrong, and instead of allowing you to just be a lightning bolt from the perimeter, just shooting crazy, we're like, Blake, please be more athletic and jump over a 300-pound center. Let's get it the hardest way possible and have it be worth
the hardest way.
I could just pull up and shoot a three.
And have it be worth fewer points. It's so very male. Have it be worth 2 points. Go through Shaq to get 2 points at the basket, or just give it to this guy and watch him get buckets at 40% from three.
From three, that would have been an unbelievable freedom. There's no freedom like that. I think it would have been a great show. Damn, my 10 best moves, I never pulled out. If I had ever made an all-star game, I was going to pull them out every single time down the court. So I would have definitely, I'm sure in this era with that kind of freedom, I'd have pulled those moves out. No doubt about it.
Better handle, you or Kyrie?
Oof.
That's a great one. I never, to be very honest, I'm not being politically correct. I never put myself in those conversations. Like if you ask me my top ball handlers, I would say, who I think they are. Me and Kyrie have had this conversation though. And I think our respect for each other when it comes to that is both around the same. So, yeah.
You can do the same things with his individual fingers and a basketball because he can do some tricks and I don't know, I don't know how you defined artistry here because trick shots are not artistry and it has nothing to do with basketball. But my guess is that your relationship with a basketball is an unusual one.
It really is. I slept with my basketball. It rains a lot in Seattle. People always say, well, how do you dribble so good? I never once did a cone drill in my life. If you had me do a cone drill right now, it would look like I've never dribbled the ball before. So I'm self-taught in that regard. And I can imagine something and go out and do it on the spot like I've done it a million times. So, Dan, I got my own moves. People kind of, I have my own moves on video games, Dan. I think with myself and Kyrie, when we talk about ball handling, we see the same things. And I can tell everybody else is kind of looking in black and white, and we see it in color. So we see a lot of the same things when we're dribbling.
I want some of those top 10 moves you never pulled out because you would have been pulled out.
Hey, they're the Prince records in the vault now. We'll never hear them.
No,
really?
No,
I'll pass to my son. I'll pass to my youngest son.
None of them. You can't give us something, a little something of something that you imagine yourself, because free and open. It's funny to hear you talk in that your artistry was shackled by the limits of the game.
The game wasn't ready for it. Honestly, and this is no disrespect, when you see Steph Curry shoot, not watch it, I was doing that in 1998. I was shooting, not watching it go in. And everybody will tell you that. That's documented. We actually have it on tape. I was shooting, not watching it go in 20 years ago, over 20 years ago.
You were robbed. I mean,
you were born at the wrong time. Born at the wrong time. You feel terrible. He has never considered it before now, and now he feels terrible for you. We were here to
born in 1980, right? I should be born in 1990. I'd be good.
Exactly right.
All right, let's do top 5 according to you, and I'm going to make you put together the list. I'm going to make you do it from in reverse order. The bucket of the bucket, according to the master of the buckets. You are the gatekeeper on who gets to get called buckets throughout the history of sports, as someone who knows the sport and knows takes no insult from Carmelo being too high on the list of excellence because he's a Hall of Famer, and that is not where buckets reside.
Are you asking him, guys, who can go get you a bucket anytime?
I am asking him to define it because he is the definer of buckets, and I'm asking us to give for him to give us his top 5.
Okay.
So this includes everybody.
Yeah.
You're allowed to do. You're allowed to choose whoever you want. Your list cannot be wrong because you are the judge and juror. Because we believe you are the face of buckets.
Number 5, we're going with. We got to go with Kareem. He's all-time leading scorer.
Okay, but he's playing the game differently than we are.
He's playing a different game.
Now
he is.
I mean, because
that's why I have him at 5.
Okay, but it's your 5.
4.
You get to decide. It's your list. Number 4.
Number 4, we have to go with KD.
Really? Just so you know, the game we were playing, now it's your game. You own it, okay? Like we were thinking guys like Eric, like guys like Eric Gordon. Like that guy can just he'll get a bucket.
Michael Beasley.
Let's start over and let's not do any Hall of Fame.
Exactly. They're too good. Those guys are too good. Yes.
But under his breath, Tony muttered Michael Beasley, and he's wrong. He's simply wrong. He does not qualify for this discussion.
Real hoopers, no.
I know, not real hoopers, no.
Beasley is a bucket. Okay, so now, no, excluding any Hall of Famer, okay? So we're very clear.
Yes,
all right.
yes, it's a new list now.
Right.
Now we've got to regroup. We've got to regroup.
Number 5, I'm going to go with Lou Williams.
See, that's excellent. That's excellent.
That's what we're talking about.
Now you're
that's a professional getter of buckets.
That's right.
Hey,
professional
this is
getter.
what you wanted.
Yes.
Put in your order.
Thank you.
I'm going to give you what you're looking for.
Thank you,
That's
sir.
number 5.
Thank you.
Thank
Because
you.
you were playing the game. And I
Yes.
don't we just met you.
I never wrote Kareem down. I didn't write it down.
No, you insult us by putting Kareem on the list. Now you're playing the game correctly, sir.
Now I'm playing the game.
Yes. Now number 4.
It's your game.
But now it is your game, and thank you for allowing us to influence it. But number 5 is excellent. Number 4.
Ben Gordon.
Oh, are we playing the game?
We are now playing the game. Now
We're playing the game.
Oh, we're playing
the game, baby.
Perfect.
Yes.
We're playing the
this
game.
list
No
is
one
good.
said him
Holy
yet.
shit, this list is good. Number 3.
Number 3. Stephon Marbury.
Oh my God.
Wow, he went old school there.
So right.
And indisputably, he is somebody who can get you buckets.
I think today he
Yes.
can get you a bucket.
Yes, he can get you. Well, this is part of the game. The definition is at any point. Today could be any day, and that day he'll get you a bucket. Like
Crawford would make an all-star
It could be
team
the
today.
day after the end of days, and on that day, this person will get you a bucket. Number 2.
Number 2. Nick Van Axel.
Oh, wow. Nick
wow.
the Quick.
An OG. That's an OG bucket.
Oh,
that's
my God.
like that might be that might be ground zero of where buckets originated.
So good. I'm going to save this list forever. I mean,
And are you ready for the number 1?
Yes,
it better be you.
Yes, it better be you. Are you not going to put you at the number 1 at the head of the
I
table?
never put myself on this list. Number 1. Drum roll, please.
All right, drum roll.
that's all we got.
Mahmoud Abdul.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
Buckets for life.
Could you imagine him in this league right now?
Oh my
That's
God.
30 a game. Put it in the books.
Oh my God.
Mahmoud, number 1.
That is an excellent list. Now let's see if we can quiz him here before we get him out of here to test his knowledge, because he is saying he's got. Are you alleging you feel like you've got encyclopedic knowledge of your game?
No, I'm not going that far, but I have
Okay.
pretty good knowledge. Pretty good. Pretty solid.
All right, so give him a game here, Tony, and what is it that we want to know from Buckets?
So this is a game I'm going to bring up from the past, and you're going to tell me what you scored in that game. Okay.
Okay. Well, this might be hard.
Can it be, besides the score, can I tell you a certain memory about
Yes.
the game?
Of
Yes.
course, please
Yeah,
do.
well, because
Whatever you remember.
I feel like what you guys are doing here is a bit unfair to him, because he remembered the 4 missed shots at the head. My guess is you remember a lot of details on the 50-point nights, correct?
Most of them, yeah, I can remember most of them. But besides those games, I can remember certain details. So let's see what Tony has.
All right, let's see.
2008, 2009, Warriors at Bobcats. You won 110-103. What did you do that game?
I scored 50, but I think I was 17 for 18 from the free throw line.
Oh, God.
I scored 15 in the last 5 minutes, only had 35. And the last free throw, the 49th point of the free throw, it came off my hand like this. And I said, oh, it missed it, but it went in. And I was like, oh, 50 was pretty easy. And we won. But besides that, take it a step further, we played against Atlanta the night before, and I played awful. I think if you look this up, I believe I shot 4 for like 15 or 4 for 16 the night before. And the next day we get to Charlotte. It's a back-to-back. Don Nelson said no shoot around today. Everybody sleep in. So we got breakfast, slept in all day, met at the bus, and then voila, 50 points later, I'm in history. Raymond Ritter, the great Raymond Ritter from the Warriors, came up to me going to the bus. He said, only you, Bernard King, Wilt Chamberlain. I think I was one of 3 at the time. And you, Bernard King, Wilt Chamberlain, has scored, and Moses Malone. I was one of 4 to score 50 for 3 different teams.
You were 3 of 15 the night before.
Dan, I'm telling you,
that's crazy.
Where what are the ones that you remember because they were the worst of the 3 for 15s? Do you have any in there that you recall as like, this is the day that nothing was working? Or is that
LeBron James' first game against the Bulls in Chicago, Michael Jordan comes and watches the game. I believe I had an ankle sprain in practice a few days before. I shouldn't have played. I'm like, I'm going to play. It's LeBron. It's a lot of hype in the city. I believe I shot 7 for 27, and LeBron had 30, and they won. We played Cleveland a week later, and my ankle was feeling much better, and I had that in my mind. I scored 30 the next week against them, and we won. Look that up, Tony.
I'm trying.
We're trying to keep up with you, man.
Yes. What do you have?
You're faster than the internet.
Before we get out of here, which is the one that you wanted to ask him about? Do you want to make this game difficult?
I'm going to go deep here, Jamal, okay? It's just like a middle of the season game, 2010, 2011. You're with the Hawks. You're at Toronto. You won the game. Do you remember what happened?
Is there anything special about the game? Is there anything that would make the game any kind of memorable? Because he's got so many of these in his life.
It was the start of a nice little winning streak for you guys. You had a good game. I will tell you that much, okay?
Yeah, I remember the game because I did a double behind the back against DeRozan and got an and one. You see that on there? And he was upset about that.
Just found that, yeah.
So I definitely had about, I'm not sure if it was 25 or 29, but it was definitely one of the two. It was somewhere in that range. But I remember that double behind the back and one on the left side of the court.
Do you have many of these legends who are trying to engage you in trash talk that's less friendly, or does game respect game when it comes to you? Because you're not going to do that to anybody else, so nobody does it to you.
And I'm the equalizer. What I mean by that is I don't talk on the court. Like, I don't say a word. I can hit 16 straight shots. I won't say a word. So I think for me, it keeps the defense off balance. I'm not hitting one. It's a party. Like, I'm hitting it. I'm running back down the court. Like, what's this guy thinking? Like, what is he doing? If I'm 0 for 10, it's the same response. And I remember Larry Brown used to tell me that, like, I can't tell if you have 20, if you have 2. Your expression doesn't change. So I thought it worked for me when playing against the defense.
It was a pleasure talking to you, sir. How close was he, Stugotz, on how he did on the day?
He had 32 points that night.
Okay.
Okay. That was okay. I wouldn't have said 30. I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't have said 32. I had one where I thought I had 31, but I would have been one off.
Do you have somewhere in the catalog of your brain, do you have them cataloged as like the 50s are over here, the 40s are over here, the 30s are over here, and the 20s, I just throw those away. Those are, I don't remember. I don't need any of those details.
There's definitely a hierarchy and a pecking order of how they fall in line, for sure.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you spending this time with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Dan. Appreciate you guys.
I'm going to save this list forever, man.
Thanks, Jamal.
Please do.
Good list.
I was trying to tell him Michael Beasley was a bucket. They were laughing at me. I was like, he is.
No, he was absolutely, and he didn't get a chance to show how much of a bucket he really was, which is crazy. But no, he's definitely a bucket.
Congratulations, Tony.
Real hoopers know.
Wait, by the way,
Real hoopers know.
By the way, I'm going to find myself. I owe money here because I read the internet wrong. You had 36 in that game. Okay,
it wasn't 32. Now
wow.
It keeps getting better. By the time you get off here, it's going to be in the 50s.
I like that. It's going up. It's shooting up. Thank you.
Thank you, man. This was fun.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks, Jamal.
See you, Jamal.
All right.